let's start at the Emirates. Arsenal. Chance to close the gap possibly on Liverpool. Arsenal go 2-0 up in the game, goals through Martinelli and Havertz, and then allow Aston Villa to get back into the game. Tielemans with a header. Watkins was allowed a shot inside the 6-yard box. It ends up 2-2. It's 2 points dropped. It was... You could see and feel what that result meant to the Gunners. It was a great shot, wasn't there? We saw of one of the fans who was just sitting in the stand and just didn't want to leave, just couldn't get it out of his head that the team had got 2-0 up. Yeah. How big a weekend was this, Rob? How much should we read into dropping of 2 points? It wasn't a defeat.
It wasn't a defeat, but I think maybe both of us, Rob, just felt like, God, this is another very big game after the midweek game against Spurs, where they win the game 2-1. It's an emotional victory. You ask them to go again. They had the addition of William Saliba.
Correct.
And they've having to plug different parts of the team.
Yeah, 3 different players really.
Yeah, and just attacking wise, first of all, by the way, they kind of got the job done.
Yeah,
they got the job done. Aston Villa are a really good side. I thought Martinelli stepped up on one flank.
Yeah.
Leandro Trossard's one of his best games. I thought for Arsenal on the other side, a little bit different. He went down the byline a couple of times, crossed balls in really, really well, and they scored the 2 goals. Yeah. And if any team in the Premier League right now, even though they had Saliba out, you still expect them to find a way to hold on and win that game. Yet that change at centre-back did mean other people played in different spots. Yeah. And the goals that were conceded were just 2 Arsenal players switching off at key moments, not seeing out runs, which they should. It kind of really is the basics, which cost them. Is that too simple?
No, I actually, when you were saying, and even... I get the point that Saliba's there, or I get the point that people have moved positions. But let me go back to Thomas Partey is a defensive midfield player who's built a career. He's at Atletico Madrid in a Simeone team, where he knows the responsibility, Rob, of marking somebody in the box at that late in the game. I can't give him an out. Mikel Moreno is running level with Tielemans.
He was goal side.
He was goal side, and he allowed him to get the other side. That is the detail. That is the bit. And Mikel Arteta said after, it's really difficult for him because those 2 errors have changed the way people will pursue the game. Be honest, Rob, for 60 minutes they dominated. Their football was excellent and they got the 2 goals. So I can't give outs on that detail. Those are the things that... And listen, we've all been players, Rob, and sometimes you think, well, how harsh am I being? Of course, there's times I've been in the box and the guy I've been marking. If I'm goal side of somebody, I don't care how tired I am, I'm staying goal side. Now, if they beat me in the air or we challenge and do something else, I put my hands up and I wasn't right. But if I'm goal side, mate, honestly, I can never remember saying I'm going to allow somebody to get the other side.
The first one's interesting because if I'm Mikel Moreno, right, and this is not right, he might be thinking, as Tielemans, how often does he score?
Yeah, he's not.
What's the chance of him? Yeah. And yet... It's just the ball
you have to have in your head
spot.
Every time that he can score.
Right, because I'm telling you now, if that play happens 20 more times with a cross to come in, different player, he probably doesn't get that ball right at the moment. He scoops and heads it in and he gets caught out. It's just, you can't take that risk that 1 in 20 he's going to get it. So it's so frustrating for the Arsenal fans because I thought, and I know what Arteta's saying afterwards, it was a magnificent effort and, it was a colossal, immense performance, I think was the word that he used. And it was to a certain degree, but it's not if 2 of your players don't do kind of the basics. Just moving on real quick with this, I drove home from the studio yesterday and listened to the UK phone-in. There's many people out there that are questioning Mikel Arteta, Rob. It's astonishing to me, but there are. There's many people saying, is it a time where Arsenal needs somebody...
That's a current vogue, Rob, to be honest. It's a new thing, like, if somebody does, let's go on this manager, let's go on this manager. I mean, who'd you get? Let's just go, who'd you get? Who comes in and improves this?
No, he's getting a very big effort out of this team and squad, and he's doing his best to try and make decisions. I think the more of a concerning thing is when we look at the benches, and we saw what Villa could go to, and Arsenal, and I know they got injuries, and goodness, I mean, I don't know how many times we've mentioned the word injuries so far this season, but is it the time where Arsenal have got to say, okay, I know we've spent in the past, but we need some help.
Yeah, and we have to be serious now. If we're going to get over this hump, if we can play and do all the things, they're like 75, 80%, Rob, of where they need to be. There's another 10 to 15% that can come through resting the odd players. You know, Saka's been out and is a huge loss. But Saka was being overplayed. In some respects, he was being overplayed. Yeah. You need to be able to put, you know, Gabriel Jesus has got injured now, and that's another loss from the front line. But, you know, we need more players. Raheem Sterling's not worked. Raheem Sterling was somebody to come in for certain games where you can rest a Saka or Martinelli. It hasn't worked. So they've got to almost go, OK, we've got this level. How do we go the next step up and buy 3 players, Rob, who go into their first team and can hold their own?
Yeah, I think Aston Villa, you know, they had Daniel Malen on the bench.
Malen, who they've just
signed. They spent some decent money on him.
On the bench.
Yeah.
They've got Buendia on the bench.
Yeah, John Duran, of course.
John Duran can come off. I mean, that's 4 players who can affect the game for you, man.
I mean, I'm not sure we're at that point yet. Well, we're not at that point yet, but Aston Villa, they're going places.
Yeah, there'll be a Villa podcast to come at some point.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they've got a lot of good things in place from the director of football to the manager. Of course, they've worked together before. You've got an ownership that's very, very ambitious.
They produce their own, bit of their own as well.
And they're not afraid to spend some money. And they're active already in January. And I know it's not easy, Arsenal and Arsenal fans, to add to this squad, because Mikel Arteta want to add and improve the starting 11. And it's not easy, but they've got to find a way. And there's talk about, just on rumours and stuff, Johan Wissa from Brentford. It wouldn't be big money. And he knows what he's doing. I really like him. He's not a superstar for them, but
I thought the other one you mentioned today, we were in practice, and we saw João Pedro.
João Pedro at Brighton.
Could play a number of spots, right, left, central, young, still good age.
He's got that Arsenal flair.
He can play a bit.
We used to see him playing against those guys that have got a little bit about him. So that's very different to Kai Havertz, for example. Yeah. Now, I don't know what the number would be for him. It'd be quite a big number.
Got a big number, 70.
But he's done really well for Brighton, and he's really good on the ball. I don't know whether Arsenal don't think those two would be good enough to be better than what they've already got.
Well,
I don't know.
You know, I look at it. It feels like a Diogo Jota type, where you go, he's not much.
Exactly.
And then they come in and you go, wow,
I know.
Wow, go up, step up with better players
from Wolves,
around them.
and you wouldn't know, and all of a sudden,
it doesn't always have to be that big name, because sometimes that doesn't work. We've seen that doesn't always work. So. And I think you've done it, Rob, but also a bit of credit for Villa. 2-0 down, away from home at Arsenal, team flying well. You made a change at half-time, which I thought was really... I kind of watched the game and saw Maatsen, who came in at left-back, got booked, was having a bit of a time of it.
He was having a time
Threw on Digne. Digne crosses for the goal for Tielemans. And smart manager, Rob, stayed in the game. But also, the thing I meant to say to you was, God, you sometimes have to be lucky. He was about to take off Ollie Watkins, put John Duran on just before Watkins scored. If he could have got him on, he said after, if I could have got him on, I would have got him on. Who knows if Duran comes on if he gets a goal? He doesn't come on, Watkins scores, 10 minutes later he throws Duran on and everything, they get the point. So you sometimes need a little bit of luck. Maybe Arsenal say they're not quite getting the luck with the injuries and the way things are going. But
the player I'd mentioned, looking at my team sheet here, my game sheet from today, from the Villa game yesterday, is Yuri Tielemans. His numbers aren't amazing. No. I know he's got his goals, so he's certainly front and centre of my thinking. But he's a good player, by the way. That's a good pickup from Leicester City.
I've always kind of liked Tielemans.
He can play a little bit. And again, what he isn't good at is charging back and being defensively strong as anything. Though he's done better at that.
Yeah, more.
But they've got a little role for him in the number 10.
And
they have done that. He's done that. Yeah, but he's playing a little higher up.
Yeah.
And the modern day number 10s,
correct.
And that's actually quite a story. There's a couple of them we're going to talk about later in the show. But they've got to get in the box and score goals. Yeah. And I think Tielemans deserves a little mention. But no, it's a good comeback from Villa, but a frustrating day for Arsenal, Rob, because after that game during the week against Tottenham, it was such a feel-good factor, and they went again, which I thought would be really difficult.
Well, it was also that and we'll get to Liverpool, but Liverpool looked like they were going to drop points, then end up winning them. Arsenal end up dropping points, and now the gap gets a little bit bigger. But they've got to hang in there, Rob. They've got to keep going. They've got to keep winning games, and let's see what happens.
Yep.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.